Well, good morning, everybody. It's Barb Katie here. I'm so glad to see you on this lovely, lovely day. Spring is peeking out, and things are looking pretty darn good. I hope you're not too sleepy today now that we have sprung forward and lost an hour's sleep over the weekend. Doesn't seem to bother me too much. I'm not sure why we do it, but it's just one of those little bumps in the road as we go through each year. Maybe sometime it will go back to being one time all year long, but whatever. That's what I call just a hiccup. I've spent some time over the weekend actually reflecting on the 5 years that have passed since COVID hit and shut the world down for a considerable period of time. Uh, 5 years ago in March, at this time, I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and wondering about what we were going to do with what was being reported us on the news and how everybody was going to make adjustments that seemed to be becoming more and more imminent. I was at a board meeting when the shutdown was announced, and among many things, I was wondering if the airlines would still be flying at the time we were due to return to our respective homes in the US and Canada. Uh, all of us were a little bit uncertain and unsettled by what was actually going on at that time. Up until then, our organization had really never considered nor anticipated a time when we would not be meeting in person with each other at our chapters on a weekly basis in thousands of locations each week. Within the following month, pretty much all that we knew to be life as usual tilted a bit on its axis without so much as a by your leave. Nobody asked our permission, it just had to be done. My first live video meeting in our Facebook group occurred on the Monday right after I got home from the board meeting. All of us were thinking about ways we could still keep going as TOPS members during what seemed to be coming closer and closer every day. The video was, to put it mildly, very, very sketchy and very brief. I shared with everyone in our group making a hot toddy that my grandmother used to make for us in the winter times. It was flavored with lemon and honey, and all of us kids found it to be a real treat and very, very soothing. Uh, Tops, I am proud to say, quickly responded to the many challenges right away as well. They were just amazing in how they rallied the forces together to get headquarters in a place we could continue to guarantee our members' needs were going to be met as best as we could be as could be possible, giving the restrictions that were more and more quickly being put upon us during that time. Within these 5 years since that happened, Tops has, from necessity and in our personal lives as well, made many adaptations to what was before the March 2020 considered to be the norm in order to continue day-to-day activities as well as uh, provide the support that is the hallmark of this wonderful organization that we all belong to, that Esther Mann envisioned over three-quarters of a century ago. One thing that I truly believe is you learn every day that you're alive. And we certainly learned many, many lessons in our personal lives and in our professional lives and in our uh, workplace situations and just about the world in general. And we learned a lot about ourselves during this period of time. And these were good and powerful lessons. It made me think about things that I had taken for granted forever and ever because I couldn't just imagine what it would mean if suddenly we had to shut down the way we lived our lives and basically find a new way of doing things. The first lesson I guess I learned, and I carry these lessons forward with me every single day and try to build upon them is expect the unexpected. And as you can see by my face, you never know when something's going to happen that you didn't plan on or anticipate. I am 10 days toward total healing of a face plant that I shared with you last week concerning haste makes waste when I was rushing into the house to pick up a phone that was ringing and was not as careful with watching where I put my feet as I should have been. And I debated whether or not I would try to wear sunglasses again today or not. And I thought, I don't look quite as shocking as I did last Monday, so we'll just give it a chance. The bruising is fading and turning into many, many different shades, and most of the swelling is gone. And the stitches were removed this last week, and that helped a lot as far as being comfortable in my own skin is concerned. So I'm doing well. Anyway, expect the unexpected. Uh, I had never gone through a quarantine before. Even as a small child, when we had childhood diseases, and people would say, keep the kids away from uh, each other. Maybe it won't spread quite as quickly or as much. Well, I can guarantee you that never worked for me. My kids were going to find a way to be together and share their germs no matter what. I can still remember one winter when one of my sons contracted the mumps. And even though I said, leave your brother alone, he's resting in his room, please don't go in. That didn't work at all. They even went to his bedroom window and he threw the window open so they could talk together. Technically, they did not go in his bedroom, but still they could share their germs. And it took about, I guess, 8 weeks for all three boys to go through the mumps. But so quarantining was something quite new for me. And it was bizarre to not be able to, do what you normally do. We were masking, and I'm a person that loves body language and facial expression, and masking covers up a lot of that. I learned to read eyes very well during that period of time, though, and that heightened for me the importance of eye language. Uh, Also, I wasn't used to places that I normally would be able to go to being closed. And so many things suddenly being unavailable. None of these things were expected when I first heard the news about what was going to be happening during the pandemic period where we were restricted and where we could and could not go, and what we could and could not do. Um, so that was my first real lesson. And to this day, I have found that being flexible enough to expect the unexpected is really helpful. Then the second thing that I had to do was define my immediate and my long term needs. Immediately did I have enough food in the house and cleaning products in the house and those types of things. Was I prepared if the stores were going to stay closed very long, to be able to still to continue? What things do I need to change? Do I need to stock up on things? Well, how many do I need? And on it went. Then all of a sudden, because at that period in time I was traveling a lot, I became aware that I was going to have to change how I got together with other people for various reasons, and to alter schedules and even ways of meeting, shopping, traveling, gathering together with family and friends. All those things were going to need to be changed. And so I began to look at how important those needs were and what do I miss most. Well, it came as no surprise to me, and maybe it doesn't come as a surprise to you when you were giving thought to the same types of things. What I miss most is other people. I'm very much a social animal. I enjoy interacting with others on a regular basis, and I truly miss not meeting to do so, even if it's just walking down the street when I'm out taking my walk and giving someone a smile or a wave or whatever. Let alone the really more personal contacts with family and friends that I enjoy so much. I like to cook for people and bring them to the house and socialize, and that was no longer encouraged. It was even frowned upon at the very beginning. So I had to find different ways to be able to meet that need, to make sure that my spirits remained intact and I kept a positive outlook about what was going on. And I found many different ways to do that. I went back to letter writing for one thing. I started making more phone calls for another. And I embraced new technology and learning to Zoom, especially with people I care deeply about, because at least that way we could see each other, we could look at each other's body language, we could hear each other in real time. And that meant the world to me. It was a great tool to have in my toolbox. Uh, and it met a truly both immediate and long-term need. And I still use uh, that all of these tools that I put together to get me through this difficult period on a very regular basis. Um, Another thing that I learned was it's really important to be prepared for what we don't know might happen. So I looked around the house, I looked at myself at, and my flexibility in both the physical sense and in the mental sense, and asked myself three really important questions. What can I do to be prepared? I was a Girl Scout and my sons were Boy Scouts, and be prepared was definitely a motto that we were familiar with. Well, what does it mean to be prepared for the unknown? What do you want to put together to have in your kit to get you through challenging times where you may have to learn something totally different and totally new? And then I asked myself this other question. Okay, you've got all these wonderful things that you can do, but what will I do? And I really spent a lot of time thinking about that. What am I willing to do to get me through whatever the challenge is with the best grace possible, without having to have undue anxiety or to panic? What will I do to set myself up for survival and for success? Okay. Then I ask myself, probably the hardest question of all is, what do I want to do? And will I actually implement it? And so that was the moment of truth. Okay, you can do all these things. And one of the things, interestingly, and it's a sidebar, tiny thing, but it truly bothered me during that time. I found out one of the things that helped me the most that I could do, would do, and actually wanted to do was to begin to declutter my surroundings. Uh, I've always been one of those people who says, "Oh, I'm too busy. Just put that over there and I'll get to it later on." Well, now I had the time. Now, am I going to do something about it? Which gives me a bitter sense of peace and calm and tranquility to not have all this clutter surrounding me. Uh, so, that was one way I found really impactful to prepare for the unknown. The fourth thing, I had to develop some methods to implement the plan I was fleshing out to get me through this new situation in which I found myself. Uh, I embraced online shopping. Uh, that was not necessarily a good choice, but I did embrace it. And then I looked at it, analyzed it, and made adjustments where needed. Boredom, I found, led me to more online shopping than I should be doing. I actually started a schedule of decluttering my house where I would set certain goals for the week. And then I would go about figuring out what I needed to sort through and parse out, some things to retain, some things to give away, some things to return to those I had borrowed them from, some things to give ownership of to the people that actually belong to them, like my children who tend to store many of their possessions in my home. I don't know if you have children like that, but uh, I certainly did. Uh, and then I tried to go about that in a systematic manner, not meaning I set a huge, big, unchangeable schedule. Because again, remember the first thing I learned was expect the unexpected, but to set aside time daily to make progress and to acknowledge the progress and feel good about what I was doing. That again led me to preparation issues. Things loop back around each other always. I learned about what actual sanitizing needed to be effective, what type of supplies I needed, and how to be aware if surfaces were not being properly tended to. It used to just amaze me how many people wore the same cloth mask day after day after day, thinking that that was going to be helpful. And that was one of the first basic things that I learned when it came to sanitation and not spreading the disease and how you can cross-contaminate. It was just an amazingly eye-opening situation in which I found myself that I had never really looked at in depth in terms of what might be significant for somebody's health, and seriously significant. Um, and I began about the process of reshaping my environment. I began to love walking outside alone for the freedom it gave me and to respect distance from people and to just be able to breathe the fresh air and not feel as if I were trapped within the confines of four walls. Uh, the fifth thing I learned, and I think I will keep this with me the rest of my life, and I'm going to close it with this. This was, as I said, just a time of reflection on where I have come, TOPS has come, we have come as TOPS members in learning how to support each other better, and continuing the good that came out of this very bad experience for so many people. Because I do believe when we learn, there's always something good that comes from it that we can move forward in our lives with and enrich those lives. Um, I the final lesson I learned, and it's the one that is ongoing, is that I realized it ain't over until it's over. And it is never really over. I'm always going to need to pursue innovative approaches. I change every day. You change every day. Whether we want to or not, we change in some small, sometimes not even discernible ways each and every day. So we're going to constantly need to be innovative in how we approach things. TOPS is making some wonderful innovations, and yes, we've had some challenges and bumps along the way, but I know our TOPS team is working for us to make it better for us to be able to support each other. And I'm so grateful that they're putting in the hard work to develop a plan of action and move forward in helping all of us do better and to be in a position where we can continue to provide each other with this wonderful support that we get each and every day through this vehicle that we use and weekly at our meetings. It's so important, however the nature of those meetings are, coming together as peers and working on a common issue is so empowering. Uh, what you have found works for you might be the very thing I need to hear about, and it might work for me. And the converse is true. We all share ideas. Some of them resonate with us personally, and we can put them in place. As I had said, this was a process for me, and that was one of the steps, was being able to find what I really needed that would help me most. Um, and then to be develop that plan into to actionable items and see how they work. Not everything that we change is going to work every single time in the way we envisioned it. We're going to have to change our changes from time to time for whatever reasons because we are not stagnant creatures. We are constantly evolving. Also realize that it doesn't do a bit of good to talk about any of this stuff if we're not willing to put the plan in place and work it. And then take the time to evaluate the outcomes. If it's not working for you, why are you doing it? That seems like a no-brainer question that I asked myself one day, and I thought, you know, that's right. If it's not working for me, why am I insisting that I keep on doing it? That is madness. Albert Einstein's quote kept going through my mind. The definition of insanity is to keep on doing the same thing that isn't working. Why would you do that? So all in all, I guess what I determined over this weekend was I would not want to ever go through the experience again, but I am grateful for the lessons learned, not only about myself, but about friends and family and associates and people I've never met and the world we live in, and just what a difference support of each other makes for all of us. So thank you for hanging in there with me throughout the whole COVID ordeal. And for some of you, my entire life, you have been by my side, supportively helping. I am so blessed to have people like you in my life. And I guess I just wanted this moment to say thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and get out there and make yourself happy and make people around you happy too. Bye for now.